Is there a difference in payment schedule between a new launch property and also a resale condominium? In today's episode, we'll find out. Hi everyone, my name is Casey from Home Quarters, and at Home Quarters, we specialize in customized marketing strategy to properly expose your unit for sale. Alright, in today's episode, we'll talk about payment schedule. What is the payment schedule for a resale condominium versus a new launch condominium? Alright, let's take a case study of if let's say you are a buyer and you're looking to buy a condominium unit that is worth $1 million, right? For resale unit, right, if you're keen already, you have to put up usually a 1% option money together with the offer of $1 million to the seller. And if they accept, right, they will actually bank in that 1%. You have about 14 days usually to do up your loan to get your letter of offer from the bank. And when you are keen to actually go ahead to really purchase the unit already, within the option period, to actually fork out another 4% in cash to pay either the seller or the seller's lawyer will actually exercise that option to purchase. So in total, 4% plus 1% is 5%, right? That also coincides with the minimum 5% cash that you have to put up to purchase private property in Singapore. Right, next up, you will have to actually go exercise in the law firm. The lawyer will actually collect two other fees from you. One is the normal buyer stamp duty. If you are buying a second property or you're a foreigner or PR, the additional buyer stamp duty will also have to be paid at the law firm, usually in cash. Then after that, remission using your CPF. Thereafter, the lawyer will also collect the lawyer fee, right? The fee that they make when they do transact your unit for you. Then you have to pay the lawyer fee as well. Then after that, 8 to 12 weeks later at the completion table, then you have to pay up. The lawyer will actually call from the bank and also CPF to pay the remainder of the money. Anything that is shortfall, you will have to top up at the completion table and top up with cash to your lawyer, and also they will do the deed, right? So it is quite simple, right, for resale property, private property in Singapore. So that is the payment schedule. Let's move on to new launch condo in Singapore and check out what is the payment schedule like. Alright, if you have seen something new from a developer that you really like, right, you have to put up 5%, usually in the form of a check in cash to the developer, right, in exchange for a SMP. The SMP will actually be delivered to the lawyer of your choice, and within 3 weeks of delivery of the sales and purchase agreement, you have to sign off. Right, once you sign off, of course, the same thing as per the resale condominium, you have to pay the buyer stamp duty or any sort of additional buyer stamp duty plus the lawyer fee that will be collected on the day itself. Within 8 weeks of exercising the option, you have to pay out the rest of the 20%, the down payment. You can either pay up using CPF or cash if there is any shortfall. Same thing as a resale unit, you will also have to pay a valuation for the bank to actually hire a valuator to go and actually verify that this developer unit actually worth the purchase price or valuation, whichever is lower. Next comes to the exciting part. In actual fact, they will not call the actual full amount from the bank, but in actual fact, break down into schedule. The first payment schedule being the foundation. Once the developer has actually done the foundation of the entire project, they will actually call for the first payment of 10%. This will actually range from about 6 to 9 months after they have started work, and you will only have to pay the mortgage from this 10% that they have actually called out from the bank. If you have done the sum correctly, actually 5% will be contributed by you via cash or CPF. The other 5% will actually be called for from the bank. In actual fact, only 5% will be called for about 6 to 9 months after the developer has started work and has completed the foundation. Stage 2, right? Stage 2 is the reinforced concrete framework. Once your unit reinforced concrete framework is actually done up, they will actually also call for another 10% of the purchase price. When will it comes? About 6 to 9 months after the foundation has been laid, right? So again, up to this point, only 15% of the purchase price has been called for from the bank. That's why you only have to pay a minimal amount of mortgage to your bank at the start of the progressing payment of the new launch condo that you have purchased. Next up, 3 to 6 months after the concrete framework has been done, 5% will be called after the brick wall of your particular unit have been built up. Right, that's 5% in total, 20%. Next up, ceiling. Right, again, another 3 to 6 months later, once the ceiling has actually been laid and done for your particular unit, 5 more percent will be called out for your bank. Stage 5, the door and window frame in position, wiring, internal plastering and plumbing of your particular unit. Once it has been done, 5 more additional percent will be called off from the bank by your developer about 3 to 6 months after the previous step has been done, which is the ceiling. Alright, stage 6, which is the car park, roads and drain service of the entire project. Once it has been done out by the developer, you will again call for another 5% of the purchase price from your bank. Once the developer called for more and more of the percentage of the purchase price, you will also see an increase in the mortgage that you receive monthly from the bank. And now comes the exciting part. It is the notice for vacant possession, or typically we call it TOP, the temporary occupation permit. Right, once this is already called for by the developer, you will have to pay up 25% of the purchase price. At this point of time, you can actually collect the key from the developer. If you are staying in there, you can actually do the renovation, do the defects, and actually live in. If you are looking to invest for this unit, a tenant can already move in as well. So about 1 year after the TOP period, right, once the legal authority actually pass all the checks and defects of the entire project itself, the certificate of statutory completion will then be given to the developer, and the developer will deem this project already completed, and they will actually receive from you the last 15% of the purchase price that is withheld from them, because they have to be responsible for all the defects during the TOP phase. Alright, so these are the difference between a new launch condo and a resale condo. Another difference for a new launch condo is that within the progressive payment period up to the TOP phase, you do not need to pay maintenance fee, do not also need to pay the property tax that is attached with your unit. Whereas on the resale side, of course, straight away you can actually rent it out if it's for investment, and straight away you can stay in the unit. However, you have to already start paying for the maintenance fee every quarter, and also the property tax that is attached to this particular unit once you take ownership. Hope you find this episode useful and informative to you, and as we come to the end of the episode, do follow us on all our social media platforms, namely Instagram at HomeQuartersSG, Facebook at HomeQuartersSG, and also YouTube. If you are watching here, do hit the subscribe button and like button. And as always, if you are keen to work together with Home Quarters, do connect with us at www.homequarters.com.sg/contact us. See you.